Jake had always been a gamer, but nothing could prepare him for the night that would change everything. It was a Friday evening, and like most nights, Jake had logged into Xbox Live, looking forward to a session of his favorite game, Dead Hour. The game was known for its eerie environments, gruesome creatures, and the thrill of being hunted by something far worse than you could imagine. But tonight, something was off. He noticed a new friend request. The user's tag was Necrodemon666. Jake chuckled, thinking it was just another edgy player trying to sound intimidating. He accepted the request, curious to see who it was, figuring maybe it was someone he had played with before. As soon as he accepted, the message came through, "You'll never survive tonight." Jake smirked and typed back, "Bring it on." They began playing, and the usual group joined in, his buddies Kyle, Mark, and Ethan. As the game loaded, Jake noticed Necrodemon666 had joined their lobby. No one knew who invited him, but they shrugged it off, figuring someone must have added him by mistake. Once the match began, Jake felt the atmosphere shift. The game was darker than usual, the graphics seemed hyper-realistic, almost too real for comfort. Shadows flickered in ways he had never seen before, and the monsters moved with a disturbing fluidity. The eerie background music was gone, replaced with a low, guttural growl that echoed through Jake's headphones. "Do you guys hear that?" Jake asked through his headset. "What are you talking about?" replied Mark, sounding confused. "Everything's normal on my end." Jake shook it off, thinking it must have been a glitch or just his imagination running wild. They continued playing, and soon, his team started encountering strange things. Doors that wouldn't open, paths that weren't supposed to be there, and Necrodemon666, always one step ahead, guiding them deeper into the game. "Yo, this guy is creeping me out," Ethan muttered. "Who is he?" "Probably just some hacker," Kyle suggested. They kept playing, but soon, things got worse. Jake's character stumbled upon a decrepit house in the game that he had never seen before, even after hours of gameplay. It was marked with the same username, Necrodemon666. The house seemed to pulse with a dark energy, like it was alive. "Should we go in?" Jake asked. "We don't really have a choice," Mark replied. "It's the only way forward." As they stepped inside, the screen went black for everyone except Jake. His game continued, but the others were kicked from the server. "Guys? You still there?" Jake asked, but the headset only buzzed with static. Then, a voice crackled through the noise. It wasn't any of his friends. It was low, gravelly, and almost inhuman. "I told you, you wouldn't survive tonight." Jake's heart raced as his in-game character moved without his control. The screen showed him walking through the house, approaching a mirror. His reflection stared back, but it wasn't just his character, it was him, wearing the same hoodie he had on in real life. The reflection's eyes began to bleed, its mouth contorted into a grotesque grin. He ripped off his headset, breathing heavily. It was just a game. It had to be. But when he looked back at the screen, the figure in the mirror was still there, watching him. He turned the Xbox off, but the reflection remained, slowly raising its hand to tap the glass from the other side. Jake's phone buzzed, and he grabbed it, desperate for some sense of normalcy. A message flashed on the screen. "You can't leave." It was from Necrodemon666. His heart pounded in his chest as the room around him seemed to grow darker. The shadows stretched longer, curling like tendrils toward him. The Xbox, which he had turned off, powered back on with a flicker. The voice returned, this time through his TV speakers. "You let me in." Jake stumbled backward, tripping over the edge of his chair. The reflection in the mirror was gone, replaced by a dark, humanoid figure standing in the corner of the room, watching him. Its eyes glowed a sickening red, and its smile widened unnaturally, almost splitting its face in two. Jake scrambled to the door, yanking it open, but the hallway was gone. His house had transformed into the decrepit halls of the game. He could hear the distant screams of his friends, but they sounded warped, distorted, like they were being ripped apart. "Please, please, stop," Jake shouted into the void, but the only response was that low, guttural growl he had heard earlier. The walls began to close in, the shadows suffocating him, pulling him deeper into the dark. He fought against them, but the more he struggled, the tighter they wrapped around his body. Just as he felt himself slipping away, his phone buzzed again. "Game over," the message read, followed by the last sound he would ever hear, a deep, mocking laugh. Jake's Xbox finally powered down, the room returning to its normal state, empty and quiet. His body was never found, though his account stayed active, playing late into the night, sending invites to friends under a new username, Necrodemon666. Like and subscribe for more chilling stories.